So, when I was a kid, I was really afraid of vomiting. If I saw somebody throw up around me, I would have a panic attack and I would start crying. I didn't actually know that it was a panic attack at the time that I was having them, but I was just a really anxious kid and I wouldn't ride the school bus because everybody would always throw up their breakfast cereals and shit on the bus, and I couldn't. That when I was in the classroom and somebody threw up, I could escape, but on the bus I couldn't get off until we got to school. So I used to make my mom drive me to and from school every day in elementary, just so that no one's little brother would like throw up around me. Um, but I just specifically remember, because I was so afraid of it, like a couple instances where I did actually throw up, and they actually happened in England, even though I'm not from England. My dad is from um, this little town in England, southeast England, and he we used to go there every summer. Well, we still do, but I used to go, visit my grandparents, visit my cousins and my aunts and uncles, because I have a lot up there. My dad has two sisters, um, and we used to go there, take a really long flight. I used to live in California, so it was even longer than from where I live now, and it was the jet lag was time difference was like 8 hours or something. So I would get really sick. First of all, I wouldn't sleep on the plane because I'm not very good at sleeping on planes even now. And I would, watch TV on the seat, the back of the seat, like the whole like, 10 or 11 hours of the flight. Actually, maybe it wasn't that long. I don't really remember. But when we got there, we flew from America in the evening and then got there in the morning of the next day. And then we would like force ourselves to stay awake that whole day just so we could, be able to sleep that night. And then the next day was always the second day of the trip. I would just throw up, and it made me like really really not want to go to England and not want to go, spend time with my family because I just didn't want to throw up, and it was really stupid. And I don't know why my anxieties manifested themselves into this fear, because it's actually really not that bad. I mean, throwing up is pretty miserable, but it's, tolerable. Um, but I just I couldn't do it. And I remember being really little, maybe like 5 or 6, and I really wasn't feeling good in England on the second day one summer, and I threw up on the staircase, and it was like a carpeted staircase, and it was like this weird green color, and it was really dusty, and I just remember I didn't tell anybody because I was scared. I didn't know what happened. I guess I never, puked before and like remembered it or something. Um, so maybe that's where it started. My whole fear. I'm not sure, but I remember it. This is gross, but it always tasted the same. Every time I would go to England and throw up on the second day, it always tasted the same. It was always the same vomit. Like no matter what I ate, it was the same. And every year I would like try really hard not to throw up, but I would anyway, and it didn't stop until I was like 10 or 11 years old. And I mean, now it doesn't happen anymore. I guess just because I'm older. I haven't grown out of the fear, but I've grown out of the jet lag. So, well, more or less. Um, I remember another time I was really sick, and I threw up like all day in England in my aunt's house, and I threw up like I woke up in the morning and I was feeling like shit, and I could feel myself. I was going to throw up, and then I went to wake up my parents, and they were really tired, of course, because they were jet lagged, and they told me that it would be fine. And then I went downstairs and I threw up all over the couch, and I threw up like all over this one pillow, and that's how we just threw the pillow away. That's how we cleaned it up. And then I just like I threw it for the rest of the day, a couple times that day, in a bucket, I think. And I watched a lot of movies, and it was miserable, and I hated it. And I guess I was just really tired, and I mean, I always blame it on jet lag, but I don't know. It could have been something else. Um, after that, after the second day, I was always fine. It was always just that one day, and I would just, next year, like being like 8 years old, tell my parents I'm not going with them back, but I would have to anyway, because. But I mean, nowadays I don't have any bad connotations with England or going there. I love going there, and yeah, that's my story.